girls in the United States between the ages of 15 and 19 become pregnant every year, with about half of them actually going through with the whole pregnancy and having the child. In the United States, there is a very large amount of men who do not respond as a father figure to their children. Many young girls' lives are often highly affected by this in a negative way. As members of this society, we should all be aware of the impact that a father has on their daughters' well-being if they are not present to prevent many negative cycles from reoccurring. So, growing up, my father was absent in my life for many years. He first got separated from my mom when I was about 3 years old, and not too long after, he was arrested and he was locked up for about 3 years. When he finally came out, he was only around as a part-time dad. Not only that, but I feel that his absence did affect me in many ways, and I ended up getting pregnant and having my daughter at the age of 14 with a guy that is now not present in her life due to drug use. But yeah. So, learning about the effects that absent fathers may have on their daughters will give us a better understanding on how a father is just as important as a mother is when raising a child. First, I will discuss the reasons why some fathers tend to be absent in a child's life. Then I will discuss how the absence of a father increases the risk of their daughter becoming sexually promiscuous and becoming pregnant at a very young age. Lastly, I will discuss the emotional and psychological effects it has on these young girls. So, why is it that many men tend to be absent in their daughters' lives? In order to understand how the absence of a father affects their daughter, we need to see why a father would be absent in the first place. So one of the main reasons why a father might be absent in their daughter's life is due to divorce. The United States current divorce rate is at 49%, meaning nearly half of marriages end up in failure, with their kids being the most impacted. Many men use divorce as an excuse to leave their children behind, and those that don't abandon their children typically see their kids a lot less. For the most part, the kids usually reside in the mother's home, seeing their fathers significantly less. Divorce is not the only reason why men tend to be absent in their children's lives. According to a study that was made in 2007, there were about 740,000 men who were incarcerated in either a state prison or federal prison. An estimation of over 1.5 million children seem to be the kids of these incarcerated men. Death is another reason to why there are many fatherless children. It is said that about 1 in 20 children who are under the age of 18 get to experience the death of their fathers. Other reasons include a father's overextensive hours at work, business trips, and their involvement with the U.S. military, depriving young girls to spend time and bond with their fathers. Now that we know why many fathers tend to be absent in their daughters' lives, let's move on to our second point, on how a father's absence put their daughters more at risk to be more sexually promiscuous and becoming pregnant in their teenage years. So, a study was made in which a group of psychologists followed 700 girls throughout their life from preschool until the age of 17 and 18. It was confirmed that those girls who had no father figure faced more negative lifestyles. Many of these girls had behavioral problems and other difficulties. It is suggested that this may be the reason to why girls are likely to be involved in early risk-taking sexually promiscuous behavior, increasing the risk of teenage pregnancy. When these girls reach 16 years of age, 40% of them admitted to having been sexually active in the past, and 15 of these girls between the ages of 14 and 17 said that they had become pregnant at least once in their lifetime. Although there seem to be many other factors that contribute to the early sexual behavior and teenage pregnancy that many young girls seem to face, it is clear that an absent father has much to do with it. The timing in which a father's absence becomes present also impacts the situation. Those girls whose fathers became absent in their earlier years of life seem to be more at risk, followed by those whose fathers were absent in their later years of life. Now that we have discussed the risk of teenage pregnancy and sexual promiscuity that these girls face, we will discuss the emotional and psychological complications they may have. It is said that the greatest impact on a woman's romantic choices and ability to feel comfortable in her own sexuality is how her father related to her in childhood. Therefore, the absence of one's father creates many complications when looking for a spouse or a romantic partner. In many of these situations, girls tend to be attracted to the same type of guy that their father was. Studies indicate that girls who have absent fathers develop more promiscuous attitudes and tend to have difficulty in forming or maintaining romantic relationships later in life. These behaviors are carried with them into womanhood, which may be the reason why many of these young women have unfulfilling relationships with men. Many young girls who did not receive the attention, praise, and love of their father sometimes develop low self-esteem. They lack communication skills. They may have eating disorders and seek excessive attention from other males starting at a young age. The way a girl views herself, her image, her worth, and the way she views other males in her life are highly affected by the way an absent father or part-time father was towards her and to her mother. Due to all these issues that these young girls seem to face, their ability to succeed in school is oftentimes impacted as well. It is important to discuss the effects a father can have on their daughter when they are not present throughout their life to fully understand that the father's presence is indeed just as important as the mother's. So, first I discussed the different reasons a father may be absent in a child's life. Secondly, I talked about how it affects girls regarding promiscuity and teenage pregnancy. Lastly, I discussed the emotional and psychological complications that a young girl may experience as a result of this. So, we may not always be in control of every situation and every relationship there is in the world regarding fathers and their daughters. However, we are the makers of our own decisions, and the choices we decide to make as a parent will always have an impact on our child. Not to say that parents should be stuck in an unhealthy relationship just to keep their children happy, because that too can have a negative impact on the child, but the relationship between partners should never interfere with a parent and a child relationship. A father is just as important to a child as a mother is, and the child should not just be a mother's responsibility, but the father's as well.